Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we will have the meeting prayer, and if anybody would like to do so, they sure can. If not, then I'm going to call on Dan Pillar, if you wouldn't mind, Dan. Great.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together this evening to take care of the business at hand for the city of Hazen. And we just pray that you watch over those endeavors, that we can make the appropriate decisions on behalf of our citizens. And we just thank and praise you for the camaraderie that we have here as city leaders. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dan. You do that so much more slowly than I do, so I appreciate that. It's a compliment.
Thanks.
All right, the reading of the minutes from the February 18th meeting. I'm sorry, no, the February 4th meeting.
Motion to approve and suspend the reading.
Motion by Wolf.
Second.
Second by Hack. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Hack to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Pillar. All in favor of approving the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 5A. Block corner survey proposal. I thought Mr. Link might be here, but as you saw in the notes, and the Munch's got the proposal up on the board there. But Ken did present the agreement for several options to update the missing and damaged survey monuments that we have. This is cheaper than going with more, and I think it's Ken's done a nice job for us already in the past, so I don't know if we have any questions that we want to pass on to him before we make a decision on this or not. But does anybody see any issues with moving forward and having Ken do this, or if we don't want him to do it?
Or if you want to just pick one option or another.
So then on the, I guess, ones that were damaged, like during the, the road work, is that going to be paid out then by a contractor? That's still stuck up in the area?
Casey, I don't know if that's part of our contingency money.
My understanding was that would go back through the engineers to them, to invoice back to them for those that were part of the project that were damaged. So, yeah.
So if we did that and those would be captured as part of this here, then we would just pass that cost then on through those channels.
Correct.
Okay.
So then I guess like these will just be the block I guess corners then, right?
It's
The whole
actually
town.
block corners and lot corners that he noticed were missing.
So block corners maybe.
Well, or lot pins that were missing in that area then too, because the block corners are different than the lot pins.
So with the completion of this, we would be solid across the board throughout the city of Hazen.
All of the block corners would be marked. There might be pins, back lots or whatever that are still missing, but that's up to the property owner.
Okay.
If they've been removed by
And other than the block corners, the ones that are addressed by this were ones that were noted as being missing during our street construction projects.
Actually, Ken went around when he did the other ones last year. He went around and searched for all the block corners, and this is what he came up with. So it is only block corners.
But the lot corners you mentioned. what are the lot corners that are reflected in this? How are they?
They're not, that was my mistake. It
Okay,
isn't
so
block
it's just
corners.
block corners. Okay.
So option one is to not exceed $10,000 due to the 2018 street project, and option two is similar amount, but not due to the 2018 project.
And then option three
is
refers to a bunch that Shannon has brought to his attention. And there's pins, but there's no caps on it.
And they have nothing to do with the project.
They have nothing to do with the project.
So,
So if we wanted everything done, it would be all three options.
Yes.
so they have like 26,500, not to exceed 26,500 for all three of them. And the ones that Shannon found, Monty, do you know if those are, so those are on public property and not private then?
They're public.
Okay.
So then on the cost of those other ones,
And that
What was
was
that kind of-
solely the city's cost.
And the consequences of not doing this.
Difficulty when somebody wants to build, trying to locate where the setbacks have to be, where the property line is, where the setbacks go,
Where the boulevards are.
where the boulevard.
And I'm assuming some of these have been lost for a long, long, long time.
Well, they said they
Where
hit.
where I'm going with this is, so if you pay a larger fee when needed, after time has passed for another 10, 20 years, will we have spent more to do those onesie-twosie things as needed for property enhancements or whatever versus having everything all up to snuff? That's why I'm asking the question. The consequence of not having it is you would have to do it for projects that required some reference to those pins.
Right, and ultimately, we're gonna want them done eventually. Do we decide if we're gonna do it now, or if we want to do one every 6, 9, 12 months when it's needed?
Again, I ask the question, what would lead you to need all of those pins in place?
So,
My opinion?
Yes.
Well, ultimately, each lot owner is responsible for determining their own boundaries. So they would then have to locate the block corner. And they would pay for locating that block corner. And then they would have to measure out to where their lot begins and determine their square footage. So the city really doesn't have I mean, in many ways you do not. The way you do have is, like you said, if there was something that required something measured off of the block corner.
Like if
I
we were
don't know-
doing,
I
like
don't
if
know
we were
what
doing a
things you
street
have measured
enhancement
off.
or something,
Well, I'm not sure if those are, I think they're already pretty well
okay.
determined, so I don't know what do you think of, Monty?
well, I know Shannon's always locating pins, because somebody wants to put a fence. It's nice to know where the
Right.
pin is.
Right.
And did the
but
city
that's up
put all
to
these
a
pins in
private-
to start with?
Yep.
The city put all these lot pins in to start with?
Well, they didn't.
Or the,
I know that from having been a past resident here, that they used a crack in the sidewalk as my measurement for where my lot ended. There was no pin in there. And it definitely is beneficial for her, but that's up to the private owner. That's not up to the city to pay for.
so the city or whoever did the subdivisions never pinned
City never pinned those lots, as far as I know. Well, maybe they did at one time way back, I don't recall them ever pinning. Whoever the developer was of a subdivision, for example, might pin lots and say, okay, and Huber second, lot 6 in block 1, and we'll put pins on the boundaries. But the city didn't do that.
So for enforcement purposes, we really have no leg to stand on unless we make somebody do a survey. If
It's
a
up to-
neighbor's complaining or we're looking at it saying you're too close on the setback.
Yeah, it'd be up to the owner to,
But if the city wants to bring the action because somebody has built within the setback, do we then have the authority to make them get a survey? Because we want to bring an
I
action?
think so. No, I think it's up to the owner of the property to prove where their boundaries are.
Okay.
They have to say, okay, 20 feet off the street or whatever.
But could there be a situation? I understand your point. Let's just say, for example, I put in a pad for my dog kennel when we moved here. I talked to Steve, wanted it to be set off within a foot off the property line. The pin's not there. I don't wanna pay for that. How can the owner say, okay, then the city, why are you enforcing your setback regulations if we don't have pins? I'm not trying to argue the point, but you know where
Yeah,
I'm
I
going with
understand what you're saying. I think in that case, then the city could say, hey, you have to set your own boundaries. And then we will determine whether you are,
In compliance.
yeah,
And basically, this is talking block pins, not lot pins, right?
right. You're
So that's-
talking block pins.
Right.
Right.
So you're kind of talking lot pins, where we're talking, it's basically, it separates the blocks. We have no responsibility in making sure that those are set, so you have something to measure off of.
I feel like we're almost asking for a can of worms if we don't, if it's not already there and it's where we want it to be, then how do people measure up, If someone says, yeah, we had it measured up, we're within our boundary.
They would have to do the same thing we're doing. They'd have to go around or professional land surveyor, and we would have to do all the research.
Yeah, I guess the danger in not doing it, Dan, is that, okay, you bring in a surveyor here, and he says lot corner is this point. Then you bring in another surveyor, and he says, no, it's over here. And then you got another one, says it's over here. I mean, it should be consistent.
So I hear what you're saying, but we select Ken,
Yeah.
where Ken chooses to put those block pins,
Now that
becomes
history.
whether interstate engineering or Moore engineering or anybody else agrees with them or not, that's where it's set, that's where it's,
They've been moved. And
Okay.
North Hazen is a prime example. Alteg resurveyed all of the block points.
and I'm just asking the question, it's a fair amount of money, and it comes out of the pot that everybody pays into, and wondering what benefit do I get as Joe citizen?
Well, then I would say, this price is really a good deal.
Sure.
Because in the past, I know that the small projects that we had done, I mean, to throw a number, like a pin, each pin is almost $1,000.
Okay.
And, I guess, for anything like Shannon's job, I mean, this is gonna make hers a lot easier, and then when she goes and says, like, here's where your pin is.
Right.
She's gonna know, not have to
How
guess.
often has she or Steve had to pay an outside entity to come in to set a block pin?
Well, Shannon, I don't think has had to, but I know Steve, that's been done quite a few times in the past.
Yeah. I'm not against it, I just wanna make sure that we're taking a look at this and, you know, sure, it's always nice when everything is perfect and people trim their trees back and, you know, all, the streets drain and, you know, all of those type of things. But, when there's a cost associated with it, if it's a nicety versus,
Well, I feel like
Something
it's
else.
more of our responsibility, in my opinion, that we need to have, instead, more than a nicety. I think it's something that's kind of expected of cities to have done, so you can measure your lots and know your setbacks, and so it's not such a pain in the butt and guessing game. I don't, maybe that's just my feeling, but I'm not against it either to do it, but I know what you're saying, Dan. What's the,
I'm just looking flat out at the money and what would we spend? Shannon's been in her job now for a couple of years. She's never had to pursue it.
You know,
It's, go ahead.
I know, I guess, a good example, you know, is just like years ago, you know, up in the north part of town, you know, I guess alleyways, you know, there was just like question of, up in like, where's the alley? Is there a shed in the alley? Is there a fence in the alley? No, I mean, we kind of had to.
why does the alley go like this?
Yeah. And we kind of had to just abandon that idea because we really did not know what the alley was supposed to be, so.
I see the pros and the cons, I really do. I know a situation, I've got a cousin down in Bismarck that's dealing with this type situation now. And he went from a block corner lot to all this money into landscaping, and he's actually going to court over it. Because
They didn't know where the boundaries were.
he was told where the boundaries were, and now what, you know, it's kind of a messed up deal, but anyways, he put all this money into landscaping, and when it went from square to triangle, now all that stuff that's supposed to be out, you know, he put all that money
Ken come to the next meeting, I mean,
in, but
What's that?
I can have Ken come to the next meeting, and have to visit with him a little bit about it, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if we have any,
That's-
does anybody have any questions for Ken, actually?
I
or-
know our ordinance requires that all monuments be replaced.
You know, what you do by having a survey,
I'm thinking about them get one.
do this now, is you record a present best accuracy
Sure.
of those values where they should be. And you try to tie them into the original plat of whatever, if it was the original town site of Hazen, or if it was first division or second edition or whatever, you know. And we know that science changes and people, I mean, things get changed over time, and you might be off a few inches or so, but you're gonna be pretty darn close if you get a accurate survey now because of all the spatial stuff that's done with it. So, yeah, it should be good for the foreseeable future, you know, in terms of marking those boundaries. And people will rely on them. And then, of course, once they come to rely on them,
Sure.
then everything gets built around those boundaries.
have we ever run into a situation where we don't have them, where we can't measure out to find the exact Monty?
He's been able to find one or two, you know, either on the next lot or whatever, and then measure to get a good idea where it's supposed to be, but there again, it's,
Kind of a guessing game.
and it's, those aren't the block corners, that's generally the lot corners.
And most block corners are square. You occasionally get those ones like south of West River's building there, that's a little triangular piece, for example. That one's changed over the years several times in terms of where the boundaries are. But most platted boundaries that are pretty straight. Yeah.
And certainly, one could argue this dollar amount, which is reasonable for the service that's being provided here, would be spread over lots of people. And if you happen to be the recipient of the benefit of having a good pin set to measure off your offset to do the project, I'm sure you would be exceedingly grateful to all the citizens of Hazen for contributing to that ease. Again, I just wanted to ask the questions to make sure we understood why.
But
This
likely
is
these
important.
boundaries can change by more than a few inches, I would guess.
No, it's just the fact that most of them are marked
And that makes it challenging for
for whoever.
our person as well as the citizens themselves. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so do we want to take action on this? And so, if someone wants to go down each one of these options, yes or no them, or that's,
Move that we go with all three of the options.
okay. So the motion is to option 1, 2, and 3 to go yes on all three of them. Okay, motion by Stern,
And it's not to exceed the,
those dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, motion by Stern,
second.
second by Hack, discussion. Roll call.
Stern,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Pillar,
Aye.
Volk,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Motion carried. Eight A, building permit with variance. I didn't look where this was, where's this
This
at?
is on North Central Avenue. 1024 Central Avenue North. The proposal is to build a garage, it'll be off the sewer line, and those types of things. Here's the current trailer house, the garage will go toward the north side of the lot. It'll stay at least 10 feet off the top of the sewer line. It'll be over in this area here. The only reason it came to you is because he is requesting 12-foot walls. This would require a variance by you. He intends to put a vehicle lift inside for him to work on his vehicles.
Questions, concerns? No, the concern is sidewall height, obviously. The two shops that are to the east of there, Silers and
As far as,
Lindeman, yeah.
as far as I know, they didn't go above the 10-foot side.
Austin does.
Austin does have a lift.
Does he?
Yeah.
And this is a garage that's gonna be sided and everything like that.
Yes.
It's not a pole barn.
Doesn't,
Who's gonna be doing the work, do you know? There's,
The application doesn't include any other contractors, so my understanding is he's doing the work himself as far as the building construction.
When we had discussions on the building out back here, that was the overall height of that building that came into question.
no, I was
Yeah.
wrong.
That was the variance that was being sought there, the overall height. Okay.
But then it wasn't that one like a, like 9 foot, like maximum sidewall
It
or
was
something?
the second floor sidewalls or something like that.
Because
It
of the
was,
second floor, I don't remember exactly. Yeah.
and so he ended up doing the barn roof, and it looks very nice, and
Don't we normally on these ask for or expect to see what the construction materials are gonna be, you know? Doesn't, exterior walls, it's blank.
is there an exception to that in terms of the construction within city limits? So a guy can build a pole barn within, I know when I put the
Yeah,
pole barn
you
up at
can.
my place, it's county, but somebody had asked me, you know, if I,
Bob Elbers has one right behind the, south,
yes,
north of the bank.
There's a couple of them over by me.
Yeah, there's one over here.
But wasn't it put in where we couldn't build those pole barns anymore in town?
I don't know.
As I recall, you adopted the Uniform Building Code, which has changed over years. And the Uniform Building Code does allow for posted beam construction, they call it. And I don't know, I haven't kept up with the building code, but that's what you've adopted as your building code, is the
Okay.
Uniform Building Code as it exists today. So if it allows post and beam or pole barn, whatever you wanna call it, that's what would be allowed.
Is he in a rush? Can we wait and get some?
Yeah, I'm not
That's
in a real hurry. I don't want to.
can't imagine you'd be digging holes or anything right now.
Let's see if we can get some of these clarified. Let's check the building code and then ask Shannon to follow up with.
Yeah, the rest of the information on the permit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's got a
That
motion
right,
to
everybody?
postpone action.
We know the neighbors down the street, they have a lift in theirs, and that's a 10-foot sidewall.
I'm not positive, I shouldn't say.
Okay.
That's to the block to the east of them.
I can't
I would
remember.
I'd say, you need, I guess, like a 12 foot for a lift.
I was gonna say,
That would seem reasonable.
Yeah,
Just trying to visualize Austin's. I think it's all town.
it's tall.
And I want to make sure if Austin come in and ask for something higher and we said no, that we better be consistent with what we did before.
So moving to postpone action on this one?
Yeah, let's see if we've got any precedents on that. I'd like to, I haven't been around long enough to have been involved in one of these before, so I wanna make sure that we're doing things consistently.
Shannon be in tomorrow?
Yes.
All right, so we will postpone action on this for next meeting after we get some more information. Reports, water, sewer, obviously we have a freeze up.
And then this time,
Streets, cemetery,
While you're still on water, I'd like to bring it up and have it in the minutes that I have had complaints about that water up at Bluegrass. They're froze up again today. I know one house at least, I'm not sure about any others. And they have been working all day on that freeze up. And I think there should be some kind of solution come, because they're trickling water. We have at least 4 houses trickling water every day through the winter.
I know, I guess like last year, I know that we just like talked about the heat tape or whatever, like inside the line.
Oh.
And then at that point, I think we kind of said it was on the property owner.
No, the freeze up is in the street. It has been determined that it is a
Okay,
city,
it is a street.
the city pipes are freezing. It's not from the house to the street, it's from the street. That's right.
Running into the curb stop, basically.
If we've got that out in the street now, we may want to have a conversation with Moore or somebody to maybe come up with some recommendations.
Yeah. Because, they're trickling water every day for months. And,
And we know, and
They're
I
not
don't,
paying
I
for
don't
it,
know if it,
so.
if it, we came to the realization that it was soil up in that area, but it's certainly been problematic
I think between soil and
over
depth,
the years.
Yeah, depth is part of it
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
So then I guess, how do we know that's, that's like from the main?
because they stick a pipe in from your house out to the main. And that pipe goes all the way until it hits the main. It's not froze from the curb stop to the house. It's froze from the curb stop to the main. It doesn't freeze from her house.
So the pipe, you said, they stick in the,
The city is there with a hose or something,
okay,
and they go in and they measure that hose,
okay.
and they don't hit ice until they hit past the curb stop. That's been checked a number of times.
Okay.
But, Dave and Mike are up there right now, so. Can talk to that. I've never been there when they do it, so.
It's your daughters, Oakland's,
Smith's,
Billerud, Smith.
and then those people beside Melissa, I don't know their names, or they
And are
go
we,
south for the winter.
and are we letting, we're not billing them for the water?
We haven't.
Yeah.
We did some concessions there.
We need to visit more and see what,
Yeah.
what our options are.
I'll get a hold of them.
Okay. All right. Jason?
I just took a drive around town over the weekend, and we've been out, the intersections and what have you are a lot better. I know that the ice has been just disaster this year, but, Dave followed up with me, the last snow we had, middle of last week, what they were gonna plow and move, and, it's powdery snow, but, I mean, you get underneath our minimum inches and it's like, you drive over and it's packed it down, packed out, and we wanna stick a bunch of man hours into it, so. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Well, in a 14-day period, this past couple weeks, we've had snow about over half of those days, and only one of those events has been, I don't want to say shovelable, but plowable. The other times you're 2 inches here, inch and a half here, another 2 inches, and you're driving on it. I'm hearing it a lot from citizens. Well, our roads are getting rough and bad. We can't plow every 2 inches that we get. It's just not feasible. And yeah, they are getting rough in spots. I don't know what the answer is, but there's just no way to go out every time we get a.
And maybe
snow
that's
event.
something we should put in the paper again, because I've also heard complaints every time it snows. Why are they not out at 3 o'clock in the morning plowing before everybody drives? Put out there that they don't plow until it's so many inches, or, something other guidelines, because I get asked that all the time. What are the guidelines for plowing snow? Why aren't they moving it?
I would say, Monty, can we do that in the
We
paper?
can do it again,
And
we do it in November, and we can do it again.
Yeah, I would do it again when it snows, so they remember.
It's fresh
They
on
read
the
it,
mind.
yeah.
And then,
I'm certain I didn't think about it in November so much.
Yeah,
have, Tammy also posted on Facebook too.
Okay.
yeah, a lot of them will post on Facebook about complaints, so put it on there.
So I guess, why can't we go up and plow, I guess, even if we get like an inch of snow, I mean,
If we do that every time, we'll run out. We'll exceed our
yeah, but I mean.
dollars for snow
Sure, but I
removal.
mean, we kind of know, at this point, where we're sitting at, like, dollar wise, and, I don't really think we spent all that much, but,
You're right. Then on garbage days, most of our staff is, we're doing garbage, and
Yeah.
then do we plow and push it to the middle, and then sit for a day or two, then pick it up after that? And then people drive on those berms?
Yeah.
It's-
I know we had all kinds of ways to talk about this, but I mean, just put it off to the side, but.
I'm, after seeing Fargo, and I was in Fargo, Grand Forks, Moorhead, Minneapolis the past 2 weeks, and they all push it to the sides. And I guess the age-old argument is, well, if you push it to the sides, our streets get narrow. I guess some streets we can't push it to the side, we need it plowed to the,
But the other thing is if you're pushing it to the center, we're building a ridge that people aren't happy with either, then it gets rough.
Well, and if you push it
So-
to the side, like Bismarck, for example, Grand Forks does it in Fargo. They're out there eventually pulling it off and hauling it away.
Why not Fargo and Moorhead right now, been there in the last 2 days, are all horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. You can't see at intersections
No,
for traffic coming. It's horrible.
no, I'll vouch for that. I've traveled, I was in Grand Forks a couple weeks ago and I actually was in Bismarck, during the EGC and the underpasses, going the one-way north. I was in the farthest right lane to the east. It was a half a lane. I stopped at front to wait for traffic to get over, otherwise I'd have ended up sideswiping my truck on the right-hand side. That's,
do we have a snow removal budget item?
No.
Okay.
We use the emergency fund.
Yeah.
If, I don't know that this really constitutes an emergency.
No, no,
I will say this, compared to previous winters, the streets are by no means anywhere what they were before. In my own opinion, but that's just my opinion, it could be
In a
different.
bad way or a good way? What are you saying?
In a better way,
good, but
better way.
you got a bigger truck now, that's why.
Well, I had a bigger truck before. But,
Dome.
you know,
And you know, a few days ago or last week, the guys did go and try to take some of those crowns off a little bit
Yeah.
and plus,
I was impressed in the last round. I went to work in the morning and I was driving before anybody else was up. And I was completely amazed at how many streets got taken care of by the time I got home from work that day. There was some impressive work going on that particular outing. So
Yeah.
it's not like the activity is not happening out there. It feels different this year than in the past, and maybe the difference is you just get a little bit. Because, you know, in those years in the past, when I was dead centering at the bottom of my driveway, that was a lot of snow. And then you definitely saw the trucks out and the movement. And I can tell you down on the east end of Divide Street, piles of snows are building out there, so there's activity happening. Because a lot of snow is building up there that's being dumped by our city trucks.
I mean, we are out on the E-routes and the,
Mhm.
you know, Main Street and what have you. You know, Dave keeps me up to date on that. Just not, we're not doing all the street, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess, it's one thing that I'm hearing a lot, is these, I guess, like ruts in town,
Yeah.
If there's a car parked on the side of the road, when you're driving along, it's kind of hard to get out of the rut,
get around, yeah.
but.
Yeah, that's challenging. I don't know how you, what do you, I don't know what you do.
I guess I'd like to see more of that, towing those people that aren't moving their vehicles when it has snowed so the city can clean,
Well,
because you'll see them a lot.
it's, I guess like after it's all like packed down,
Yeah,
if a car is there for an hour, let's say, then,
Yeah.
You're trying to get around it, you're
Yeah.
those ruts and you're trying to.
yeah,
Well, I saw a person the other day, I was turning at your house, turning off the third, to head down to my street. And someone in front of me was turn up, that go to Archie Rose's house. And that rut there, they did a 360, because they try to get out and all of a sudden they just whipped around. So there are those spots that are pretty tricky. Well, maybe just fill those in with water.
there you go.
Make it solid level sheet of ice. Yeah, I don't know. I think the guys are doing a pretty decent job. I don't know. I'd have no problem with going out on, if it's, because I think it's 4 inches. Is it 4 inches? Kind of
That's
the,
what David
you know,
mentioned in a previous meeting.
next time we get a good 2 or 3. I don't think there's a problem getting, especially the emergency routes, if you want to do that. But,
I think when the day is done, there's gonna be concern irregardless.
Yeah.
If that's the right word.
there'll be, yeah, I agree. There'll be concerned, concerned citizens, yeah, yeah. Okay. Any more discussion on streets? Finance, Dan, did you raise your hand? No. Oh. Go ahead. Finance, busing,
I have nothing at this time.
police, fire,
Nothing at this time.
Buster's not here. The only thing I'll report on is, last Friday, there was a report on the prairie dog legislation that, it left the Senate, with a due pass, and then it went to appropriations. Came out of appropriations with a 15-1 vote and then 1 absent. So now this week, it'll be on the House floor for, hopefully I think it'll get a due pass there too. Delzer was the only one that voted no for it, and he just thought, I think his no was because he didn't want a long-term deal. He wanted this to be discussed every 2 years. But I think it looks pretty good. We're going to be meeting with Moore Engineering in a couple weeks and talking about water projects, and I think, water tower, Dan and I were talking, Dan's doing an article about this, or a series of articles, and it's something that I think we need to start looking at as projects down the road. We've got a lot of old infrastructure in town this could be used for, water tower, things like that, but as soon as there's a final action, I'll send an email out this week and what we find out.
Hey, Gary,
Yes.
I just wanna touch on it since we're talking about water towers. In my hometown, they had a structure fire this past week, and I was there actually on Friday. And I know the guy, he was a classmate 3 years younger, owns the building. Anyways, they drained the water tower twice and shut water down. But they've only got 3 of their 5 pump stations working. That's another issue, but
What kind of structure is on fire? Yeah, we hold at least 500,000 gallons. We're at least half full. Yeah.
yeah, it was a brick construction, but inside it's steel. It actually was electrical, and one of the tenants' boyfriend went downstairs while opening the door and was applying air to the fire, and it just went woof. And they spent, it started at 7 o'clock one evening, and they attended it all night long through the next day, and they actually had to pump in between gaining water pressure back. One of the neighboring towns' fire chiefs suggested snowballing snow into it. And there's 4 foot of snow. So this brick, we walked over and looked at it, this outside brick walls, they're like bowed in. So it's structurally, it's done. But, yeah, so there's.
So your point to that story is, if no extra water on hand, it's probably not a bad thing.
Right. Something to possibly look at. Because, yeah,
Thank you.
that's the point of the story. Because my mom mentioned that too. She said, we didn't have water and she couldn't flush the toilet. And it's like, I didn't need to hear that, Mom. Thanks for letting me know.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. I just figured I'd touch on that.
Appreciate it.
Enlighten people's eyes about updating the water tower.
10A, Rath and Meyer letter.
That's common, normal thing with our independent audit or representation letter to the audit firm, just that we hear any pending litigation or we're doing our best to make sure the financial statements reflect where we're at. But you and I both have to sign it, so you might want to move.
Okay, we need a motion if we wanna get this letter signed tomorrow.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Wolf,
Second.
second by Stern, discussion. Roll call.
Wolf,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Pace, maintenance contract. So
That-
Pace has provided agreement to conduct services on sanitary and wastewater lines.
This is an annual agreement with them. When they come in, they stick to the prices they provided in their estimate. There are no changes for the last 3 years, other than 2 years ago, the diesel fuel cost was $4.50, now it's $3.50, if it exceeds that price, so. It doesn't exceed that price.
So how long have we been in contract with Pace for this service?
Since before I got here. I want
Are
to say
there
it's closer
other-
to 10 years.
Are there other entities that provide that same service?
Can't have construction, did it for our project.
Right. Have we
Price wise, this one is,
priced it out?
price wise, he's got, so.
Okay.
Well, I remember the summer when we had Kemper do it.
Sure.
They charged us a lot more than Pace, so we asked them to go up.
Okay.
We said, well, have Pace do it instead from now on. Then they lowered their fee. Have you ever been contacted, Monty, by another company that
No.
does this? Okay.
Move to approve the maintenance, contract.
Okay, we have a motion by Stern,
I'll second that.
second by Pillar. Discussion. Roll call.
Stern.
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Hack.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. There's no new, old business, no new business right now.
Do you want to talk about the next meeting, or will you?
Yeah, let's
Tentatively
do that, yeah. So, the next meeting looks like we're looking at the 6th, Jason. You wanna let us know for sure, or you wanna decide now?
If we reschedule it, when would we reschedule it to? That's already been rescheduled once.
Well, we've got 3, that's just a matter of, do you want more than the 3? You've got a quorum on the 6th.
You will be back?
No,
No, it'll be you, Dan,
no, it'll be you 3,
I'm sorry, Casey, myself, and you on,
and me.
On the sixth?
not,
On the
On the
6th.
6th. Wednesday the
no,
6th.
I won't go back till that night.
Oh,
I thought you said you were coming back
Let me see, let me see, hold on. No, I don't get back till the night of the 6th.
You said the night of the 5th earlier.
I'm sorry, I don't get back till
We
the
can
night.
rewind that if you want.
I believe you,
That's right, because we were deciding who was gonna be the chair,
yeah.
and Dan was it.
Yeah,
You were,
yeah.
yeah, you'd have been the choice, but you're gonna be gone too.
No, he's back on the 6th.
I'm here on the 6th.
So, yeah, it is Stern, Miller, and Hack if we have it.
If something changes, I'll let you know, but I just plan on the 6th.
Okay.
Or else, I guess, you just wanna do it, on it's like March 11th, because I mean, that's only just like 2 more weeks away, it's not,
Daylight savings on the 10th, so
I don't know, it's 3 weeks away.
full of energy.
We do 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Other ones too, April will be 3 weeks.
So,
The 11th works fine for me.
11th would be better for me too.
I know for sure I won't be there for that one.
And I won't be back.
I thought this new job, you're gonna be available, Martin, if you're
I gotta knock on doors and pound pavement.
Nancy won't be here, so it'd be the three of us.
So it's the same.
The 11th.
Yeah, you still got three.
So is that a change to the 11th? No.
The only thing it does for us is the real mayor would be there on the 11th.
The real mayor.
Does it matter for bills? Okay.
As long as you have a quorum.
Yeah, let's change it to the 11th.
You don't get to do
I-
two meetings.
I have school board stuff.
I'll keep it for you.
Now you do recordings, I don't know. I'll probably do things.
Yep. Not
Not the 6th.
not the 4th or the 6th. Okay.
Well,
All right. For the bills.
nothing extra, so I don't keep it.
Motion to approve the bills.
A motion by Wolf to approve the bills,
Second.
second by Hack. Discussion. Roll call.
Wolf,
Aye.
Hack,
Aye.
Stiller,
Aye.
Stern,
Aye.
Omenauer.
Aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.